I've always felt that a good scene is a song in a way. It has a shape, it has a tone, it has you know, it can be very staccato. You know, you can have a long prelude and then boom, boom. Yes. You know, it better be a boom. Right.
Great introduction, and we do have sort of a great privilege to talk to Chuck because he is really a unique figure, and I think it can be summarized by he's had 6 shows that you can call hit comedies, and there were very few people that have ever had 2, and have 3 on at the same time is pretty extraordinary. So how do you do it, Chuck?
Steroids. You work a lot. You sit in a room in Burbank for great lengths of time, and you pray because there's never enough time to make them.
Do you ever stop and say, "Gee, how did this all?" We've talked a lot, and you always, I would say you worry, but you press the details. You're always thinking about. What can we do better? How can we improve it, right? I mean, it's still very much a commitment for you to do this, right?
Well, I work from a deep sense of insecurity.
Even after all your success?
I have the belief, and I can't shake it, that there's endless reasons to turn the channel. There's hundreds of channels. There's entirely other things to do besides TV. And if you make a bad television show, there's probably no reason for the audience to come back the following week. If you go into a restaurant and have a bad meal, it's unlikely you'll go back to the restaurant, is my analogy. And so every meal has to have some value to it, otherwise you risk the audience never coming back. And so, if you want to grow the show, you have to sustain some level of quality every week, otherwise I kind of feel like we're doomed. Especially now, it's not 3 networks.
It's the entire universe of that.
You're up against the whole universe.
Right. Mm-hmm. But, so do you think the insecurity is good, is helpful? The insecurity?
Oh, it's killing you.
It's killing you.
It's a horrible way to live. It's a terrible, terrible existence. There's no joy. But, there's great satisfaction when you get it right. There's just tremendous satisfaction when we work in front of a live audience. And I don't know how many times I've tried to debunk this, but we don't add laughter. The audience laughs. And if they don't, we rewrite it. We rewrite the scene right there on the spot. We'll do the scene again with new material, or we'll cut it. But we certainly won't. If it's not funny in front of 200 real people, it's not going to be funny at home. Right. It clearly isn't funny. Right. If that's not your litmus test, then why are they there? Yeah. If anything, when we mix the shows, very often we'll take the laughs out because you can't hear the dialogue. Or sometimes the laughs are inadvertent. The audience is so excited once the show's been on for a while. I remember when risk of dating myself on Roseanne when this show would routinely get 40 million viewers a week. Yeah, that was with the days. 4 networks and the Spice Channel. John Goodman people were so thrilled to be there, and John Goodman would walk in and say, "Roseanne, I'm home," and the audience would start laughing. Right? Because we're very talented writers. But they were so thrilled to see him that their response wasn't appropriate for home viewing. Yeah. Well, you've got 3 shows now. I mean, this is the most you've ever had at the same time, right? And you have great showrunners that run 2 of the shows for you, right? All 3, I work with people
that do.
God bless them.
So your role now is you supervise them. I think you're mostly still involved with 2.5 Men, I think, right?
Well, last year was
special.
It was almost a new series.
Right.
I mean, we really kind of viewed it as relaunching it as a brand new series. So it gobbled up a lot of attention, and obviously we were under a microscope. And everything we did was analyzed. And but I love all 3 shows. Big Bang Theory has been an absolute blessing in my life. It's just an endless show and see how much fun we had. You know, for years we had ping pong matches every night.
Every night?
Rabid ping pong matches. I mean, you couldn't get Parsons to come home.
Really?
You know, I mean, it was...
Was he good?
Nobody was good. You know, a couple of ringers, but you know, it was just a great family, but it still is an extraordinary environment where everybody is, it's a true ensemble feeling.
So just give us an idea of your week. You have the shows, both shows in production. Like, what's it like for you on a daily basis? Are you reading the script from one and then go to a meeting, or how does it work?
Well, it starts with writing. You know, we start 6-7 weeks before production writing scripts with the hope of having anywhere from 4 to 6 scripts polished and ready to go. Because when you're in production, things inevitably go wrong. After all these years, it still staggers me that this script is beautiful. This is, oh my goodness, this is perfect. There's no reason, let's just kill it and funny. And then you go to the table and you can hear the 405 freeway in the distance. You just hear your career going by. It's deadly. And if you have 5 or 6 scripts in good shape, you can spend the week working that into beating it into submission and not worry that there's nothing for next week.
Right.
You know, there's a Mussolini aspect to this. The train has to keep going.
Yeah.
I never want to call Les Moonves and say, oh, by the way, I have nothing for next week. Right. I don't want to make that call. Right. I don't know what would happen. I really don't know. I've never had to make it so far, but it's a call I fear. 6-7 weeks before production, writing.
Beating a show into submission means what?
It means
you and the writers.
It means actually there's so many elements of it. Sometimes I think my role first and foremost is defender of the characters, so that we don't sell a character out for a story or a joke. The characters become sacrosanct. You have to protect them. The tone in the shows each have a different tone, right? You know, 2.5 Men's always been very edgy, right? As my wonderful aunt Mickey used to call Blue. It was very blue last night. It was very naughty.
Yeah.
Naughty is better. 90 years old. Yeah. Naughty is better. And Bag has an innocence to it, right? And if you push the envelope on sexual content on that show, you can feel the temperature in the room go down when the live audience is there. You overstep the tone, right? Not overstepped it, but you've broken the tone. You know, and there's and protecting the tone and the integrity of the characters is critical for an ongoing series. But at the same time, you want the characters to grow a little bit. You don't want to become a formula show where every week you're doing the same material, the same jokes. And obviously, you know, there's got to be some kind of spine, some kind of story that feels like no other show could do it. In other words, if you can sit there and go, well, you know, pick a series, Modern Family, or The Office. If they could do this story, then it's probably not our story. Right. It has to be, you know, a show that feels right for this series. And then, you know, it jumps. Right. It has to be funny. I don't think people are tuning in to be amused. You know, I don't mean no. Don, it wasn't that clever. Why would you watch a comedy?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a real. And that's a real interesting aspect of your career, because you know, for a long time, comedy was not supposed to be working on TV except for your shows. And your shows we had to want to make people laugh. But you were doing that. And then there was a sort of a movement toward shows that were softer, or southern, or whatever. And they can work a little bit. And unlike some of them, I'm sure you do too. I do. But your show was, if I tune in to a Chuck Lorre show, there's going to be real jokes and real laughs. People are going to laugh at it. You fly on a plane, right? And they run an episode of Big Bang. Everybody in the plane is laughing. They're all laughing. And that's how you know that it's sort of like your formula is going to be different from the others. There's going to be actual out loud laughs. I mean, you're right. You watch some shows and you're like, that's clever, you know, but you didn't laugh once.
I was once on a Turkish Airlines, and they were running it in Turkish.
Seriously?
It was great.
Big Bang in Turkish?
No, it was 2.5.
2.5, okay.
Been in Turkish, and people were laughing. I have no idea. I didn't remember
But did you feel sort of like you were holding up the banner of comedy there?
Not at all.
No.
No, you just go in every day and you do your job. There's no macro picture going on here. It's just, all right, what's the story? Do we have a story? Right. Okay, we don't. Well, that's the reason to be. There's reason to panic here. We have to have a story. So no, the big picture is nothing to consider. And frankly, you don't even think about programming and time and schedule. And I just stop worrying about promotion. And it's not my job. And if I worry about it, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Well, you have so much on the plate, but we talked a little about the idea of what you're doing, but you also ride herd on the jokes. You want the show to be funny, so you have a sense that a show needs a joke at a certain time, right? For the rhythm of the show.
There is a rhythm, I've always felt that a good scene is a song in a way. It has a shape, it has a tone, it has it can be very staccato. You can have a long prelude and then boom. Yes. It better be a boom. Right. If you give Jim Parsons a long speech about nuclear physics at the end of that thing, it better be something, right? Because the audience is leaning forward. Yeah, well, I mean, it's I guess liken it to the beginning of Proud Mary as done by Tina Turner. It's very slow, but then you better just then it kicks. Oh, good. Okay, great. Right. Every Led Zeppelin song did the same thing.
Well, I'm actually really glad you mentioned music because people probably have no idea of this, but you started out as a musician, and in fact, this is an incredible fact that I heard today, and then checked out that this is the man who composed the theme song for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
My children were very proud, and that was just an amazing thing. Back in the 80s,
before your writing career now?
No, I was just getting started in television. I was actually writing animation, and I was approached by this little company that was doing 6 episodes. They had enough money to do 6 episodes of the Turtles. And I was working for Marvel Animation. Right. I'd be proud to say I was fired from my little pony. He was thrown off my little pony. So we just didn't think I had the pony voice. But the guy who was running the company that did the first Turtle episodes came to me and said, "Would you write these?" And I said, "I can't. I'm under contract to Marvel, but I'm not under contract for music. I'd love to do the music." And he said, "Well, we have the Turtles. You know, flow it in, And I went, "Okay.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That's cute.
Yeah,
the Turtles do this."
Right.
Well, they never delivered a theme song. They just blew it off. It was 6 episodes, right? It was a black and white collage comic. Yeah, it really was. It was, And then they never delivered. The guy called us up at the last minute and said, "Would you still do it?" I went, "Yeah." We got $2,500 to do a demo, and we got the studio Journey was recording it from midnight to 8 a.m. And we wrote the theme and produced it, and recorded it in 8 hours, surrounded by these giant amplifiers. It was great.
Well, I was able to tell Chuck that I was at a previous session with an executive from Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon was bringing back Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, $60 million budget. Incredible. But I asked if they're bringing the song back. And she said yes, but a hip-hop version. But still, the rights have to be covered, so you're okay with that.
Do it with accordions. I don't care, just do it.
That's great. So talk a little bit about your background and how you got into writing. You wanted to be a musician or a writer or show business?
I was like a lot of guys my age. I was playing in bands and making a living actually. Just playing in clubs, wandering around the country, playing bars and hotels and stuff. And I played cruise ships, played in Alaska, and I thought I was pretty good. And then somewhere in the mid-70s, I was playing in Miami, and I was playing, and this guy came into this club I was playing at, and he said, "You're pretty good, you want to sit and audit my class at the University of Miami Jazz School." Yeah, sure. And I'm sitting there, thinking, okay, I'm all this stuff. And he has this 16-year-old kid come in one day as a guest to talk and play for the class. And the kid was Pat Metheny. And I sat and listened to the 16-year-old Pat Metheny play guitar, and I thought, I better learn to write. So I started, I thought, maybe that's a venue for me to explore, to do something. Right. I certainly wanted to be a songwriter. And the other big influence was Randy. I so was enamored with all things Randy Newman, the 12 songs and the Sail Away albums. And, he was bringing humor to music, right? And creating stories and characters that you could loathe the character, but you would love the song. So that impacted on me a lot, and I tried to write like that, and I had absolutely no success.
You couldn't match that.
No. I actually got to meet Randy's manager, and I showed him some of my songs, and he went, "It sounds like Randy Newman." I went, "Yeah." He goes, "I got Randy."
But when you started to write, you wrote drama first?
I wrote everything. I mean, I realized very quickly I had 2 small children, and it was not going to cut it playing clubs and bars, and it was just not. And every time one of them went to the dentist, we were devastated. Oh my God, we're going to die. Right. No meat for you tonight. And I was determined to find another way to take care of them, and so my first opportunity, I was actually playing clubs at night and doing door-to-door sales during the day.
Seriously? What were you selling?
Whatever I could buy for $5 and sell for $10. At the time, it was during the Christmas holidays, just before I had these little FM radios that were like the size of a credit card. Listen to them with earplugs, and sounded pretty good. Go down to Long Beach, buy it for $7, $8, sell it for $15 to $20. Move. And I walked into an office called DIC. It was about 15 people above a hair salon. What do you guys do here? We make
cartoons.
Right. Do you do anything funny? Sometimes I go, "This is your lucky day." I'm selling radios. I'm trying to convince them to hire me as a writer. And they eventually did. They eventually did. I sold them a few freelance scripts, and $500 a script. I couldn't believe it. Thought I'd die beyond it. Yeah. $500 for Heathcliff the cat.
Well, were you funny as a kid? Were you funny?
I was annoying.
You were annoying. But you didn't try to be a comedian, obviously. But
never even occurred to me to pick up.
But did your friends think, "Oh, Chuck's funny"?
I have no idea. I didn't have friends.
You didn't have friends, okay.
No, but even as a kid, though, enamored with all things rock and roll, I remember being infatuated with the Tubes. I don't know if anybody remembers the Tubes. You have to be of a certain age. But they did songs like White Punks on Dope, and Don't Touch Me There. And even the Beatles had a sense of humor.
Drive my car.
Yeah. I had this idea, wouldn't it be? I was just totally fixated on the idea of combining the two. Rock and roll took itself very seriously. And certainly for good reason, for certain people, but even Dylan was a comic.
Yeah.
And so while that form was clearly not meant to be for me. The idea of writing something and eliciting that response and getting people to laugh was very gratifying.
So how did you move from animation to sitcom?
When everybody went home at night at Marvel Animation, I wrote spec scripts. Because I had heard that if you write for real people, as opposed to animated people, or ponies, there's a writer's guild, and they have insurance. This is a great motivating factor in my career. I wanted health insurance. I wanted these kids to go to the dentist without going broke. Right. I didn't want to cry every time somebody had a boil or something. And so I wrote spec scripts. I wrote The Golden Girls. Now we're talking about 80s.
Yeah, okay.
Golden Girls was a big show. I wrote Miami Vice.
A funny Miami Vice.
I actually got in to see the Miami Vice people off that spec script, and they said they liked the script, but it was funny, and they couldn't use it. And they said, "I'll take the funny out."
That's easy, right? I can figure it out. But did you break through at some point with the show?
Some of the Golden Girls script got me work.
They
did give me work, and it taught me a lesson which has been good for me for my whole career, which was write what you know if you can. I wrote about my parents in that episode. You know, it was very much derived from something I took from my folks, and I put it in that script, and it got me work.
Mm-hmm. So now eventually somehow you land on Roseanne.
And no one else would take the job.
Is that right?
But they fired.
She fired everybody.
So they had to get a whole new staff. I thought, how bad could it be?
And then you found the answer out. It was pretty amazingly famous for this.
It was very, very volatile environment. But at the same time, we were deeply proud of what we did.
Yeah, but the show was a high quality show.
I was there years 3 and 4.
Yeah.
It was a dichotomy. It was horrible, and I was so proud to be part of it. At the same time, we did get better. We became better writers as a result of where she put the bar. She put the bar really on.
Yeah.
You either jumped over it or you were gone.
Yeah. So did that lead you to becoming a show creator?
Well, Tom Warner and Marcy Carsey came to me after my second season and said, "Would you like to create?" "Yes," I said. And they said, "Well, we have an idea and we have the cast." And I said, "Fine." I believed, and I was not wrong, that they could have put the phone book on television. They were so powerful.
They were really
Cosby and Roseanne. And I wrote a show about an unhappily married woman called Franny's Turn that aired on CBS for 5 weeks on Saturday night.
This one escapes my memory. Who was in Franny's Turn?
My family did watch it.
Who was the star of that?
Miriam Margolyes.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful British actor.
Yeah.
And I poured my heart and soul into it, and it didn't work. And I remember Tom Warner said to me, "Well, it's a noble family. Let's try again." And I was, "Really? I get a do-over?"
Yeah.
And the next one, and he goes, what do you want to do?" And I said, I want to do something based on Douglas Adams' books, because I was a big fan of Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, Dirt Journey, and all that stuff. And he goes, that's great. We love that too. But how about a single mom?" I could do that too. I said, "Well, I don't really see I'm the voice of the single mother."
Yeah.
And he said, "It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine." And to their everlasting credit, they sent me for a few days to Elgin, Illinois, where the Elgin Watch Company comes from. And they said, as far away from the Los Angeles environment as possible, where I was. The Chamber of Commerce took me around to meet with single moms, who were nurses and teachers and homeless women, moms on welfare and factory workers, and they had these focus groups talking to women who were raising children by themselves.
Yeah.
And after 3 or 4 days, I came back and I said, "Tell me, Marcy, this is a heroic story.
Yeah.
These women are heroes."
Yeah.
And that became Grace Under Fire.
Right.
Because, oh my God, we have to tell this story.
Yeah.
This is Greek.
Right.
This is Greek tragedy. If we can
Well,
make it funny.
Yeah, make it funny.
Because at the time, you got to remember, it was Murphy Brown was the single mom. And she had nannies, and she had a safety net, and there was never any issues of getting through the day. The women that I met with, getting through the day was always an issue. And I remember asking one woman, I'll never forget, I said, "If I could put a show on TV about a single mom raising children without a safety net, all by herself, and working full time, would you watch it?" And she said, "Well, it depends on how late it's on, because I'm really tired." I was broken hearted, and yet, I want to tell your story. And the show turned into a nightmare, but
But it was also it started out, and it was very successful.
It really was huge.
Yeah, it was a huge box. And what's interesting is you worked with Roseanne, you did Grace on Fire, you did Cybill, you were doing female voice. That's what you were doing. You became sort of known for that. And then you did Dharma. So you were kind of like the go-to guy for the female star there for a while. I mean, that seemed to be what you were specializing in.
Yeah, there was a point in time where that wasn't the case. I remember Raquel Welch took me after dinner one night.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm the guy. Dinner with Raquel Welch. Really cool.
Yeah. So
walked into a restaurant, everybody turned to look at him. This Jewish kid from Long Island. Raquel Welch, oh my God.
She didn't strike me as particularly funny, but
I have no idea. I was glad to have dinner with her. I had such an intimate relationship with her in the 60s with the posters and stuff. A million years BC. The fur bikini.
Oh, yeah, the fur. But that Dharma was a big hit, right? Tell us about the genesis of Tuna. That's your next show, right?
Yeah, you know, again, it's an odd thing. That's the story that begins with life insurance, with health insurance.
Again.
Lee Aronson, who had worked briefly for me on Grace, and came to me and said, "Can you help me out? I got to do something. I'm going to lose my health insurance." Right? And we wound up cobbling together this pilot, and we pitched it to CBS. And they said, "Who do you see playing this lead?" I said, "It's kind of a Charlie Sheen kind of character. What can you get Charlie Sheen in? I don't know." And we had a meeting with him, and he liked the idea, and it was really dark. It was literally, I mean, I don't know why I want to tell this part of the story, but it was like the day of my dog died. And I canceled the first meeting with him. I was devastated. I'm 14 years old.
Beloved dad.
You know, I go to this meeting and I'm just like, pitching a comedy. And he liked the idea, and he said, "Is there a script?" And we said, "No." And he goes, "Well, I can't say yes and listen to the script." And we said, "Wait right here." And we came back to him about 2 weeks later. We wrote the script, and suddenly it was a go pilot.
Yeah, and they liked it, and they put you behind Raymond, right?
Which was a blessing.
And you know that was a way to build it. And then I think a lot of people thought this was the next big 9 o'clock show, and it was, which was remarkable. You had many successes, but this was your big home run, right?
It grew though. It did grow. It kind of had an interesting trajectory, and I learned a lot. I was, if I did anything right during that time, I was watching Raymond. Being a fan of Phil Rosenthal, the way he writes, and the smallness of the stories, and it's so rich. The characters are so rich.
Yeah.
You do 20 pages on the couch and then 20 pages on the bed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the show.
That's the show.
And you can't take your eyes off it. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was very, and it brought me back to what I had learned on Roseanne, which is, you didn't have, there was no high production values. It was just people talking at the kitchen table for dinner. And that was the show.
Yeah.
And Dharma, I got away from that. I tried to, it would be 25, 30 scenes of Dharma.
Yeah.
Because I was bored.
Yeah. But Two and a Half Men didn't start from an idea that was connected to some real life thing. Like you said, right, but that was really an invention.
Yeah, no, again, they were both lawyers, and then we found out to be lawyers. And we thought, we could bring in some of our own background to write stupid music by making him a jingle writer. Yeah, so we got to write all these terrible jingles. Granny's big fudge nuggets. I had just picked a career for John Cryer's character that we could mock.
Right.
Endlessly, which was, chiropractic.
Right.
And we just got hit by lightning with that little boy.
Yeah.
Angus was, and still is, amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's just address the tiger in the room briefly, so to speak. The tiger. I was going to say the elephant, but I switched to tiger.
I'm clever.
Yes. Just briefly, you went through a rough patch. You got out of it.
You heard?
Briefly tell us what your overall sense of that feeling about that was.
It was heartbreaking. I mean, sum it up in a word, it was heartbreaking. The guy was my friend and colleague for 8.5 years, and I don't think we ever had an argument, really, in that time. It was, show ran, like, it was an amazing machine. The show ran beautifully. People went home for dinner. And we were proud of it. We were really proud of what we were doing, you know, and it became this thing.
Yeah.
And for it to end like that, it was devastating. It was devastating. You know, I don't know what to say about it, other than I was heartbroken and it hurt. Right. And I'm thrilled we kept it on the air.
Well, this is the thing.
Just
then
amazed that
you recovered in a way I don't think has ever been done before. In fact, you once said to me what was fascinating about the first episode of this current season was that you ended a show and started one in the same episode.
Right, in a series.
In a series, yeah.
In a way, as we were doing this, we realized that we had to put some closure on the 2.5 Men we've been doing for 8.5 years, and then begin a new series. And it was actually very exciting to do. Yeah, I mean, we would go home at the end of the day 3 feet off the ground because we were having fun. This is exciting. We have no idea if it's going to work. We know we're going to be under a microscope.
Well, yeah.
We had, you know, when we were casting, we just sent out coded pages like we were doing a J.J. Abrams movie, you know, and everything was a secret, and don't let anybody see the script because everybody wanted to know what the script was. It was incredibly exciting, and it worked. I mean, it was a breathtaking experience. Well, you went to try and relaunch a show after all that. We had 177 episodes we did.
Right.
And it was, and to start over was an amazing experience.
But also an interesting new opening. It gave you kind of an inspiration to do something a little, you know, change it up. You know, that's.
It was a writing challenge. Yeah. I mean, it was an incredible writing challenge, and then you have to, and the writing. There was no development process. We didn't spend a year developing this. We actually made all our mistakes on television. We developed it on the air. I think if you watch the 24 shows we did last year, you can watch us stumbling around trying to figure the thing out. I still think we're figuring it out. Honestly, I still think the show is very much in development.
So did you
getting better at it?
Did you have the character, the Ashton Kutcher character, before you had Ashton, right?
No.
You didn't?
No.
So you got Ashton and then...
We were sitting in Carnegie Hall when they introduced Ashton Kutcher as a new star 2.5 Men.
And you were like,
I was sitting there thinking, I have no idea what we're doing. Let's sit down. But I was enamored with this young man, and still am. He's amazing, charismatic, and skilled comic actor. So I had no question that he could do anything we asked. We just had to ask the right thing.
Right.
We had to figure out how.
And did you bat around several ideas?
We started out knocking around the idea that he was a successful actor who was kind of a loose cannon, and then I thought, no, I really don't want to go down the entourage road. I feel like it's been done to death. And frankly, Ashton's own fascination and skill and genius and all things internet kind of got us thinking along the lines of TV and movies is old school. It's dinosaur stuff. Yeah. What he's doing should be what this character should be doing, because that's the future, and he's all over the future. And so we made him an internet startup kind of guy, and moved away from the brick and mortar stuff.
Right. Well, the other great story is the story of the creation of Big Bang, which is, I mean, everyone knows what a big hit it is, but I'm not sure everyone knows that it almost didn't hit at all.
Yeah, we absolutely fell on our ass the first time we did it.
You did it, you made it, you put a pilot on for CBS and showed the pilot.
Right, they definitely rejection is the right word. We had Jim Parsons and Johnny Glackey. There was no Simon, there was no Kunal, we didn't have Kelly. The girl next door was hard-drinking party girl. And very fine actress, and she did a great job, and it didn't work at all. But we learned. Is that me? I might be having a stroke. I think that's I don't need to terrible things. But we learned something. We learned something very important, that these brilliant characters were very vulnerable, and the audience didn't want them to be around an antagonistic female character. They wanted someone nurturing.
Yeah.
And
how did you learn that?
Well, you could sense it. The scenes where she was with them and she was being outrageous and dangerous and out of control, and Galecki's character was infatuated with her. He felt uncomfortable because there was a childlike nature to them. And even though they were, geniuses, he felt this need to protect them. And when Nina Tassler called me, and Tassler was the head of entertainment for CBS, said, "We're not picking up the show, but we'd like you to try again." I said, "Great." I said, "It's absolutely, A, you shouldn't pick it up. We didn't get it right, and B, we can't."
Yeah.
And she said, "We think it's casting the female," and I said, "It's not. It's badly written."
Yeah.
I mean, just call it.
You didn't miss the actress, you missed the character.
The actress was fine.
Yeah.
We didn't create the right character to go with these guys. And so we wrote a new script, basically. We saved about 4 or 5 pages from the first script, which in syndication we cut.
Really?
Yeah, because they still didn't miss it. And Kaylee Cuoco, who had read for the initial pilot, but I thought there's so much sweetness and genuine warmth to this woman. She didn't fit for that original character, but she was perfect for what we eventually got to. And then we added the characters, Kunal and Simon, and we got it right. Yeah, we really, these characters are so interesting. I remember saying to Bill, "Let's not tell any story at all. Let's just work on these characters."
Yeah.
So the story for the pilot that worked, that got us on the air, was the pretty girl moves in across the hall. Johnny Blackie's character is infatuated with her and wants to get to know her. She says, "Can you go to my boyfriend's house, my ex-boyfriend's house, she just broke it up, and get my TV?"
Right.
And he goes, "Sure." The night going to play the dragon for the fair lady, and he and Jim Parsons go to the guy. The guy is, is Thor, and he says, "I don't think so." And they leave empty-handed, and he pants them, I believe. and then they all went up to it. Right. That was the episode. Boy meets girl, boy tries to do something noble for girl, boy fails. Curtain.
Right.
That was the pilot.
But very funny.
It was wonderful, and Simon and Kunal brought this, enlarged this world, which turned out to be the heart of the city.
Yeah. You never could guess that a show was going to do what this show did, obviously. But you knew.
By standing next to Jimmy Burrows.
Yeah.
When we shot the second pilot, and we looked at each other and went, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
You could feel it. You could feel it.
Yeah.
You just could feel it. It was this is terrific.
There was real chemistry with the guys.
That it was greater than we had anticipated. And we just nailed every actor. Every actor was just off the charts.
So, but now you hear these statistics like, TBS buys it, and it's nowhere in the ratings, and now it's number 1 in the ratings because they're running 18 episodes a week.
It's become a commercial for the CBS show, I guess.
And it really helps the CBS show as well. But it is, and it's huge now, of course, in Canada, and it's really become that kind of, cultural touchstone show, which is, a remarkable thing to be part of.
It's a blessing, it really is. I mean, you never anticipate something like that. You just, Jesus, don't cancel us. Please don't cancel us.
Yeah, but after a while,
you go, okay, we're not going to get canceled, but for the show to actually have an impact like that, and then you get feedback like more children in elementary or secondary school are going into advanced math and advanced science here in England and in the States, and when asked why, they say the show. I like to say that,
there a backstory to knowing about nerds? Did Bill Brady
Well, yeah, Bill actually, it was funny. I was doing 2.5 Men, and Bill and I had worked together on Dharma Greg, and he had been on Gilmore Girls, and he had done a couple of shows with Max and David, a bunch of Nicole.
Right.
He'd been knocking around after Dharma, and he said he wanted to try and do something. And I said, all right, let's see what we can come up with. And we had some false starts, and he wanted just off. I don't remember why he was telling me about his days as a computer programmer in New York City back in the 80s, and about the guys that worked with him who, like he is, brilliant, but entirely socially ignorant.
Right.
You know, the kind of guy who can figure pi to 80 decibels like that, but couldn't do a tip in a restaurant because there's too many variables.
Right.
You know, do you tip the waitress because the kitchen's good, or do you penalize her because the kitchen's slow? It's impossible.
Right.
And I said, that's a show, but let's get away from computers because that's a cliche.
Yeah.
And we went into pure science.
And the whole notion of them being the Star Wars fans and the...
That was both of our backgrounds. Infatuated with all things Marvel comics and Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we were lucky enough to find writers like Cybill, who's now a big showrunner this year. Just being a breathtaking amount of heart and soul to this thing. I mean, people really care. It's not just a job. I mean, there's a lot of love for what we're doing there. It's really a remarkable experience.
And as you said earlier, this is a show that generates big laughs. I mean, it generates, really big laugh out loud thing, which, to me, when I watch the new pilots each year, and they say it's a comedy, and I watch the pilot, my first presumption is it's going to make me laugh. Right?
That should be right.
It should be, right? But it often does not, and because it's something else. But I think what you pioneered sort of is this pioneered that you emphasize is, if it's a comedy.
I didn't pioneer anything.
No,
I mean, Cheers and Taxi.
No, of course. That's the wrong word. But you emphasize
family. I mean, it was always there.
Yeah.
Raymond, it was always there. It was a laugh out loud show.
Yeah.
Seinfeld. These were really funny shows. That's the lineage. The lineage is well documented.
Mm-hmm. But I do think the form that you use, which is the 3-camera comedy, with an audience, and there are people I know that think, well, that seems artificial. You've never been to a play, and play is an audience, and they laugh. It's the difference between film and play. It's theater.
It's not a movie.
Yeah.
It's a film play.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Do-overs.
So we are going to have some questions from the audience.
She was really working on it.
I know, she's trying to get my attention.
We got it.
It's hard to see.
Don't be angry.
Yeah.
See myself.
Okay, there's a question.
Okay, I have a burning question. I loved the vanity cards at the end of the episode, but they really forced me to be quick on the pause on my PVR because they go by so fast.
It's on our website.
Where did those originate?
Dharma Greg, actually. There's really an opportunity to complain about ABC and try and get away with it. Back then it was VCRs, so no one really did. You had to have a really good VCR to pause without the letters wobbling, so no one read them. I got away with murder. And you can read them online, they're all online too.
You're out.
And I think there's going to be a book this fall.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. Let's look for another question. Anyone else? Because if you don't ask one, I'm going to ask another one. All right, then I'm going to ask you. You're doing 3 now. If an idea pops in your head, would you do another one?
Absolutely.
You would?
Yeah, I love it. It's, I still want to play. Still want to. This is a great opportunity to have an opportunity to make stuff up and put it on television. It's nothing to be taken for granted. I'd like to change it up a little bit and do something different. But if there was a great opportunity to do the right show with an audience and the right cast, sure. It's, I don't want to get complacent and take for granted this opportunity.
But you do talk about working. It's hard work. It's very demanding.
Yeah, but circus folk. What am I going to do? You know, I mean, my friend Don Rio says, Chuck, we're circus folk. It's what we do. You know? And it's true. What am I going to do? I have no skills. What am I going to do? I mean, I'm a writer, and I got lucky, and so I want to keep writing.
You still play guitar?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's another skill.
That's my fallback job, is to go to the Sportsman's Lodge for $8 a week.
I don't think you're going to need that. Here's a question.
How did you find the Bare Naked Ladies song for Big Bang Theory?
We got them on the phone and talked to the leader of the band, is a really cool guy named Ed Robertson, and I said, here's the idea. We need a theme song, and the idea is from the Big Bang, from the beginning of the universe to now. Tell that story. 20 seconds. and you know, and we were encouraged by the fact that they do very dense lyrics. You know, they had the big hit songs.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Very dense lyrics and really clever. And a couple of weeks later, he sent us a demo, a guitar vocal demo, and it was perfect. It was 30 seconds long. We got to cut it. You know? And I wanted to put the guitar vocal demo on the show, and he goes, "No, I got to use the band. It's got to be the band." And then they sent us the band version. It was just awesome. It's perfect. Every time I hear it, I'm so excited. It's just, those guys are terrific. I think they brought value to the show that's immeasurable with that piece of music.
That's great. Andrew, have a question here.
In regards to a lot of your shows, like I grew up watching a lot of comedy, I like to laugh. With yours, the writing is very intellectual. Like you don't go for the cheap laugh. Now, how? Not always. Like every once in a while, you get like an actual, hey, I didn't think about that to laugh at it kind of thing. Now I know like the logistics of writing and how to go about a series show and whatnot. So how do you guys manage to get the little bit of intelligence in each of your jokes?
Well, we are slightly intelligent. But I think the answer to your question is, I've always believed this, and it's just the way I've always, just the way I program. I believe you have to respect the audience. Don't talk down to the audience. They're far smarter than you give them credit for. You know, play up to the audience. Assume the audience is a step ahead of you, and you have a shot at maybe doing something you can be proud of.
This gentleman right in front, you have a question.
Yep. Can you talk about how did you decide to add Mayim, a new character, and will you add more new characters to Big Bang? My question is, how do you decide adding the Mayim character to Big Bang, and will you be adding more characters in the future to Big Bang? What's the process again?
Mayim came about as a season ender a couple of years ago. We ended the season with a story where Howard and the group of Polly decide as a prank to enter in everything they know about Sheldon into a dating service, an online dating service, and it spits out a name as a match. And they, as a scientific effort, get him to go meet with her. The match, and guess Mayim, and the rest was a no-brainer. What a gift to work with somebody like Howard. Talk about skill and experienced, and her instincts are uncannily correct. And the same thing happened with Melissa Rauch as Bernadette. We just grew with it. It just, you know, if you're doing a show every week, if you're lucky enough to stay on the air, you learn every week. Oh, this is working, do more of it. This isn't working, get rid of it. And both Melissa and Mayim were just like, this is enlarging our show, giving us more paint on the palette to work from. And it turned into, and we also knew for a long time that we needed to expand the area of scientists who are not men, but not to do it just to pander to women, but to do it because it was right, and it was just perfect. And as it turns out, Mayim is in fact a neurobiologist.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a doctor.
Doctor.
She corrects us all the time. That's
good. We have one right here. I don't know if you can see her.
We have one.
Hi. I'd like to know about your creation process. Do you read everything that's around you, listen to other music? How do you create 3 shows at the same time? Where did you get all the ideas from?
Fear and desperation is a great motivator for stories. It's strange, that's one of those things you can't quantify. I think Dharma Greg came about because I was listening to She's the One on the Born to Run album by Bruce Springsteen. I thought, what if somebody loves somebody that unconditionally as that song is portraying? That Bo Diddley riff. Yeah, it's just a powerful, powerful song. And I remember calling Dottie Darker, who I co-wrote that series with, and said, look, this is the heart and soul of what we need to do. It's all in this song. Let's call it She's the One. There was a movie out called She's the One. I can't call it She's the One. But, you take the things that move you, the things you care about. The Big Bang Theory, we're not physicists, and sometimes we'll sit in the room and we'll try and write the science stuff. And, Bill will say, we can sit here forever, we're not going to become physicists. And we have a physicist on staff to help us. But where we connect with those characters is that sense of being disenfranchised, of feeling like the world is going on and we don't really understand how or why, and we don't know how to participate. And if you've grown up thinking that, there's a party over there, the scene in Stardust Memories where Woody's on the wrong train in the beginning?
Yes.
He's on the train where everybody's sad and miserable and there's a party in the other train with all these beautiful people. I've never forgotten that scene because, you can live your life feeling that way. I'm on the wrong train. How do you get to that train? And these characters, especially Galecki's character, more than any of the others, feels like he's on the wrong train and wants to get on the other train. And that's why he was chasing the beautiful girl across the hall. He wanted more in his life than he was currently getting, and he didn't know how to get it. I think that's universal. It's not specific to science. And frankly, Lee and I, for a long time, were writing 2.5 Men, discussing divorce, being a single father, which we both dealt with and deal with, raising a son, and so you draw, you write about the things that are happening in your life, and then you lie a lot, which is what writing is. You lie, you make it by trying to make it funny. You're embellishing it to the point of not recognizing the source material anymore, but the source material is there. Even Mike and Molly. The source material for so much of that was Marty. Marty, great, I guess it was a play.
Rod Steiger plays.
And
then Ernie
Borgnine was in the film that touched me as a kid. I was like 10 years old when I saw it. And it was about lonely people who had no hope of ever having a relationship. And then they meet each other. And the people around them are more obstacles to them getting together, as well as their own insecurities or obstacles. And that was, I don't know how many people here feel like that, but it's a universal feeling that you get if you tap into it. It's better to start from there than from a situation comedy. The contrived situation is much more difficult as a starting point for me. A single mother, Grace Under Fire, on the surface, that's not funny. It's just life. The obstacles to raise small children when you're working and you have no one to help you. It doesn't sound funny at all. It was a terrible pitch, by the way, of a movie from Classy Order. It never would have gotten on the air. And by the way, I was also pitching that in the pilot she comes to grips with her husband's abusive past. It was nothing funny in that pitch. I remember the ABC executive going, and Tom Warner standing behind me going, it's going to be fine. It was a terrible pitch, but I've been really lucky to get these things on and then explore them at greater depth.
I think we're going to take one more question, all right?
Hi. I heard you talk earlier about overseeing the integrity of the character when he was writing. So I'd come to Alan Harper, And it seems the more debased and ridiculed he is, the funnier it is. So my question really is there any depth to how we would stop at ridiculing poor Alan?
In the writer's room, we call Alan's character Job. and we're testing his love for God on a weekly basis because he is, you know, he's fundamentally a good man, and he has been punished rigorously for being a good civilian. Yeah, we may have gone over the line on a couple of occasions, and gleefully punished him beyond all recognition. But it was in search of the Holy Grail, which is, you know, are we laughing? Is it fundamentally funny? And, you know, and again, you're right. You know, some questions as to maybe, you know, if I wasn't, you know, steadfast in protecting that character, we may have gone too far. I don't know. We get another year to figure it out. That's the greatest thing about it. We get to try again.
Yes, that show's continuing, and Chuck will still have 3 shows on the air in the fall. So everybody watch. Thanks.